מה הולך חברים? איך אתם? אני מקווה שאתם בטוב. היום בסרטון אנחנו הולכים לראות כמה קליפים מג'ו רוגן, שהוא מערכת פירס זהבי, מאמן בקנדה, מאמן מאוד מוכשר ל-MMA, אימן גם את ג'ורג' סט פייר הרבה שנים. בחור בכללי, ממש מדהים לכל המאמנים של אמנות לחימה, לכל מי שמעניין אותו הדברים האלה. יש לו גישה מאוד ייחודית, בחור מאוד מעניין, מאוד חכם, ובוא נראה קטעים מהסרטון, ונרוץ עליו, אבל לפני זה, פתיחה.
You know, I'm a big believer in never being sore. You should train, and the next day you should wake up feeling good. Okay, you know why?
How's that possible?
Well, because look, if okay, that's great. That's a great example. Let's say your energy levels.
We're talking about fit people, by the way, right?
Every human being.
So guys never worked out before?
Even first day, never trained.
How is it possible to work out and not be sore?
No problem. Beautiful.
Okay, here we go.
So, let's say there's something called rate of perceived exertion. Okay, so let's say I make you do pull-ups, and let's say the maximum amount of pull-ups you can do, the maximum amount of pull-ups is 10. Let's keep a nice round number. At 11, you couldn't do 11. If I pointed a gun at you, you couldn't do 11. Should I make you do 10 pull-ups on our workout? No. I'm going to make you do 5. Why? Because I'm setting you up to work the next day. The next day we're going to do 5. And the next day we're going to do another 5. And then we're going to do 6. When 6 is really easy, we're going to do 7. Why? If you count, if you did 10 pull-ups on Monday, you're going to be sore till Thursday. Let's say it's really your max. So Thursday, you've only done 10 pull-ups. From Monday to Thursday, you've only done 10 pull-ups. Me, I've been doing 5 pull-ups every day. So I'm at 20 pull-ups already, 25 pull-ups. I have more volume than you. Now, if you add up at the end of the year, who trained more? I've trained way more than you. So let's say I go to jiu-jitsu practice. I'm doing jiu-jitsu every single day, 3 rounds, 5 days a week. That's 15 rounds. You go in twice a week, but you kill yourself. You do 5 rounds each day. You push yourself those last 2 rounds, and you burn yourself out. I still did 15. You're at 10. At the end of the year, I've done countless rounds more. I've had so much more training than you. So how much training can we pack in the week? That's the real question. How much volume can you expose your athlete to? So I always tell people, look, exercise can produce energy. So let's say I'm feeling like a 7 out of 10. 10 being I'm really like energized. 1, I was like really lethargic, feeling like I need to lay down. And 7, I'm feeling good. Okay? If I get up and I do a right amount of exercise, the right amount, I can feel like an 8.5. Exercise can give me a tonic effect, like drinking this coffee. So let's say I just do some jumping jacks, I hit the back for a couple of rounds, I'm feeling good. Once you get that high, shut it down. Don't go into the phase where your body's beat up, tight, broken up. Don't redline the body. That's only for training camps, for a small period of time. Why? Because you get a little bit more from the system. But in the long run, you get less. In the long run, you've taxed the system. So if you do that regularly, by the time you actually get good, you'll be broken up. That's why I do a lot of flow training. Have you ever heard of me?
אוקיי, לפני רגע שהוא רץ להמשיך לנקודה הבאה שלו, הוא מציין נקודה שממש נוגדת את הרבה ממה שהרבה אנשים עושים היום. הרבה אנשים אומרים, תבוא, תתאמן הכי חזק שלך ותגיע לכישלון. הוא מדבר על משהו ממש יפה, שאתה כביכול אומר שאתה אף פעם לא צריך להיות אפילו תפוס אחר כך. אני רואה את זה שהוא מדבר על זה בנקודת מבט של מתאמן ספורטיבי ל-MMA, אבל כל הנקודה שלו אומרת שעכשיו נגיד אתה מתאמן, אל תקרא את עצמך, אל תשבור את עצמך, תבוא, תתאמן חזק, תגיע לנקודה שאתה מרגיש מטורף בה, ותחזור הביתה. וכי הוא רוצה מה שהמטרה שלנו בתור מאמנים, שהיא נקודה יפה, לחשוף כמה שיותר את המתאמנים שלנו לווליום, לעבודה, לשעות עבודה, על המזרון, על הדבר, בכללי שעות עבודה שיוכלו לתרגל ולהשתפר. הקטע שאם כל פעם אני אגרום לך 2-3 פעמים בשבוע יקרא אותך, אתה לא תרצה להתאמן יותר, אתה לא תצליח להמשיך להתאמן, הגוף שלך יהיה בקריסה. אז הוא אומר, אוקיי, נוריד את האינטנסיביות, אם זה 10, נוריד ל-6 נגיד, אבל נעשה את זה הרבה יותר פעמים במהלך השבוע, ככה שבמהלך השנה בסוף הצענו הרבה יותר ווליום לעבוד. זה גישה ממש מעניינת. בוא נמשיך להקשיב למה שהוא אומר.
State of flow is you're having the right amount of difficulty, but it's not so difficult that you go into stress, and it's not so easy that you're bored. It's the right amount of challenge. So let's say as simple as playing like Tetris. If I put you on a level that's too high, you're gonna be like, you're gonna play for 5 minutes, you're gonna be like, I'm done. If I put you on a level too easy, you're gonna be like, this is boring. If I put you at the right amount of level, you see that's the flow channel. So if the challenge is too high, you'll meet anxiety. If it's too low, you're boredom. When I go in the practice room, I'm trying to create flow. I'm having fun. Training should be addictive. Imagine training was addictive. Everybody would train, everybody would be fit. But people always go into anxiety. They go and they kill, they slam their body. Then I have to convince you to do it again 3 days later, 2 days later. And you're like, dude, the mental energy is going to take me to get there. Like, it shouldn't be. It should be, training should be a pulling force. It should be pulling you. You want to go training. If you don't want to go training, it's not fun. If it's not fun, you're not going to do a lot of it. And if you're not going to do a lot of it, you're never going to reach mastery. So how do I make it pleasurable? How to make it fun? I have to be in a flow state. And you can get into a flow state in almost anything. But when you're out of that flow state, cut it. We're going to get further. We're going to do more training if we cut it today and come back in tomorrow. Because I'm a big believer in consistency over...
הוא הסביר כאן על flow state, שזה מצב ממש מגניב להיות בו. אם אתם עושים ספורט או משחקים משחקי וידאו בכללי. זה מה שאתם יכולים להגיע אליו. הוא מדבר עליו בקטע כזה, שכמו שהוא הסביר, אנחנו מגיעים אליו ברמה כזאת שיש לנו מצד אחד רמה גבוהה של אתגר, מצד שני זה לא אתגר כזה גבוה שאנחנו לא מצליחים. כשאנחנו רצים עליו, על ה-flow state, הזמן רץ, אנחנו מצליחים לחשוב, הכל זורם לנו. זה דבר מאוד יפה להיות בו. הוא אומר, בניגוד להרבה אנשים שנגיד הגעת עכשיו למקסימום שלך, אתה גמור, הוא לא הולך כבר, עזוב, תגיע יום אחר כך. אני מאוד אוהב את הגישה הזאת, כי כמו שהוא הולך להגיד עכשיו, הוא מאמין מאוד במה שגם אני מאמין בו, שזה התמדה מאשר אינטנסיביות. ובוא נראה מה יש לו עוד להגיד על זה.
By nature, intensity can only be done once in a while. If you're going hard every day, you're not really going hard every day. You can't go your max every day. There's a cost to going to your max. Can you sprint every single day? You cannot sprint every single day. It's ludicrous. You can sprint once or twice a week. The best sprinters in the world, they sprint once or twice a week. Nobody sprints every day. Because intensity, by nature, entails that you need to take a break. Because if you don't need to take a break, you didn't really go to your maximum intensity. If you lift your maximum lift, the maximum amount of reps you can, the maximum weight you can lift. If you do 2 reps, that wasn't your max. Because if it was, you wouldn't have a second rep in you. You understand? Right. I would have to give you a break for you to have a second rep. So we didn't find your true max, right? Intensity, maximum effort entails you have to stop. Because it's the maximum. There was no more reserves. There are no more reserves.
נקודה מהירה לגבי מה שהוא אמר. הוא דיבר על האינטנסיביות ועל כמה עבודה אנחנו צריכים לעשות. ואני ממש אוהב את הגישה הזאת. אני חושב שהיא גישה בריאה, ואני אגיד שאני חושב שבתור מאמן, ההתמחות שלנו והתפקיד שלנו, זה להתאים כמה שיותר טוב את הדבר, את הספורט, למתאמנים. כי כל אחד יכול לפנות אימון שיקרא את המתאמנים שלו עד זוב דם, וכל אחד יכול לבנות אימון שלא יתאים לכולם וזה קל מדי להם. זה התפקיד שלנו. למצוא את האיזון הזה, להביא לפלואו, מצד שני לא לגמור את האדם יותר מדי, אבל כן לאתגר אותו.
That kind of deal.
Let me ask you this. Who wins more often, Russians or American wrestlers?
Russians.
Every time an American wrestler wins, he's like some prodigy. Mm-hmm. He's rare. It's rare. It does happen, but it's rarely he's a technical master.
Right.
However, you have these Russian guys that win gold medals. You've never heard of them, and they're like Michael Jordans of the sport.
Yeah.
There's just so many of them. They train long, consistent practices. Whereas in America, we do Monday, Wednesday, Friday hard. We kill it. And then you rest Tuesday, Thursday. The Eastern Bloc had a totally different understanding. They're like, it's volume, volume, volume. Near the fight, short and intense. Only near the competition phase. But before that, it's the maximum amount of volume you can... Imagine me and you we're two athletes, A and B. You're A and B. You're training jiu-jitsu 3 times a week really, really hard. You're going all out. I'm training jiu-jitsu every single day. My average practice is 2 hours. Your average practice is 2 hours. But when you go in, you kill it. Like you go with all the black belts and you kill it. At the end of the year, I'm averaging 2 practices more than you. So I've had 100 practices more than you by the end of the year. 104 practices. Let's give 2 weeks for vacation. 100 practices more than you. 200 hours more than you have been training. When we roll, your intensity that you put on the mat is going to be irrelevant. Why? Because I've also tasted that intensity periodically. It's not that much of a factor now. When you go super aggressive on me, when you attack me aggressively, I have felt that. I know how to deal with it. Plus, I have an extra 100 hours on you, 200 hours. So I'm going to mangle you. You know what I'm saying? The volume is far more important than the intensity. The intensity, by nature, is need to be done periodically. If you do it every day, it's not intensity.
So how do they structure their training?
רגע לפני שממשיכים, הוא דיבר כאן על נקודה מדהימה, שהבלוק המזרחי באו מנקודת הנחה של כמה שיותר לתרגל, לעומת לעבוד חזק. והוא מראה כמה זה מביא תוצאות, כמה זה מביא ליכולת, כי בסוף זה זמן המזרן. לא משנה כמה חזק התאמנת, זה הפרקטיות, כמה באמת הרגלת וכמה למדת. זה נקודה מדהימה, שאני חושב שאנחנו כולנו צריכים יותר לכוון לפחות אינטנסיביות ויותר עבודה חכמה וכיפית. ליהנות כמה שיותר, כי מי שיהנה ימשיך לעשות, ימשיך תרגל, ורק ירצה למצוא עוד יותר רמות בדבר. בוא נמשיך להקשיב.
They're more playful. You know, they kind of warm up, they kind of flow roll, they do a lot of technique, high emphasis on technique. Now, a lot of people hearing this are going to be like, well, the Russians also are funded by their government. You know, their government supports them a lot more than maybe an American wrestler. Okay, I agree with that. There are many factors. However, we cannot deny that they're technically, I hate to say the word superior, but they're technically more advanced, technically, when it comes to wrestling. They have more of a flow understanding. They play around, and the practice gets more and more intense until you see them going really, really hard. They're going live, you know? They're going really, really rough. But they were playing. They have a more playful attitude. You look at the Cubans. You ever see Cubans sparring? They're like 50 guys in a room. They're just touch sparring. There's no headgear. There's no mat on the floor. They're literally sparring on concrete. You think they're really trying to drop each other? They're on concrete. I mean, the Cubans are the top boxers. They consistently win gold medals. But in practice room, they're playful. Nobody gets hurt. Like you're saying, the Thais. The Thais are just, if you go in there and you kick a Thai really hard, he won't spar with you anymore. He'll be like, this guy's too amateur. There's a time and place for intensity. I'm not anti-intensity. I think there's a time and place. Like Angelo Dundee was probably arguably the greatest boxing trainer in history. He says, look, fighting is for fight night. In practice, it's only practice. George St. Pierre has that attitude, and I think that's why he's so good and so healthy today. You know, because he never hurts his sparring partners. People line up to want to spar with him. It's a joy to spar with him.
Yeah, I love this idea, and I love this approach. I think that we have this attitude that you have to be tough. We have this attitude that you have to work hard. And, I mean, I've fallen prey to that many, many times in my life, where you just got to be tougher. You got to work out harder. You got to push harder. But when I read Pavel's stuff, one of the first things that struck me is like, well, yeah, of course, if you just do 5 reps every day and then you won't be sore, you could do it more often. And then your body, like you get farmer strength. Like,
Exactly.
Where's farmer strength come from? Farmers they're not going to exhaustion.
No.
You know, they're not like throwing hay bales to the point where, you know, they're heaving, they put their hands on their knees and like, come on, 5 more.
Exactly. You should never be sore. If you're sore, you overdid it.
Whoa.
Because I can't train the next day if I'm sore.
Well,
I open the wound.
Every time I work out then.
What's that?
I said I've overdone it every time I worked out.
You may have. You may have. You got to...
There's a lot of people listening to this right now going, wait a minute, what? How the fuck?
Make your workouts a 7 out of 10 and do them every day. You're going to get far more training hours. You're going to spike your metabolism far more often. Your energy levels, your mood is going to be far more up. And training is going to be more addictive.
Now, what kind of training do you do?
הוא נגע כאן בנקודה ממש יפה. אני לא הייתי יודע למה אני צריכים להתאמן כל יום. יש מחקרים סותרים לזה, זה שונה מאדם לאדם. אני יודע עליי שאני מאוד אוהב, תלוי מה המטרות שלי, אבל אם אני מתאמן לכושר ובריאות בכללי והרגשה טובה, אז אני אקום יום אחד, אתפוס את המשקולות שלי, יעשה קצת אימון כמו בודי בילדינג, רק פחות סטים ויותר לחמם את הגוף, להרגיש את הדם זורם. אני יום אחר יקום, שכיבות צמיחה, יום אחד אני ארגיש שאני צריך מנוחה, אני אנוח, ישחק קצת עם השק אגרוף. בתור אנשים מבוגרים, אנחנו צריכים להכיר מה עושה לנו טוב, להתאמן למטרה אם אנחנו מתאמנים, וליהנות מזה. ואימונים באמת יוצרים לנו את הרגשה הזאת, הגוף אוהב לזוז, תזוזה עושה לנו טוב. תמשיכו לזוז, תמשיכו תרגיל זה. בואו נמשיך לראות.
At this stage, like you're not competing, but you're constantly in there sparring with guys who are professionals, and you're constantly training them. Like, what kind of stuff do you do?
I do jiu-jitsu, wrestling, Muay Thai, and a small amount of conditioning after practice. I'm too bored. I find jumping hurdles and throwing, like doing weights and stuff. Me personally, I don't find that I don't have to take that much enjoyment of it. I can do 5 to 20 minutes in a practice.
Isn't that because sparring is just so fun?
So much fun. I'm in a flow state. We're having fun. You know, we're wrestling. I think conditioning, you can't get away with it. You need it. You need it. And we got to talk about what George was saying on your podcast, that he doesn't do strength and conditioning. There's a language issue there. There's a language issue. And we got to talk about that, because we've done tremendous amounts of strength and conditioning, me and George, like tremendous, like barrels full. Okay. And, but he has a different definition. There's a misunderstanding. Okay. So I really want to clarify that. But me personally, like, look, if we roll for an hour, for me, it passes like this.
Because it's so fun.
It's so fun. We're having a good time. I'm fascinated. Like, oh, you grabbed like this. Like, I'm always learning new things.
Right.
To swing a kettlebell, to do push-ups, pull-ups, I can only do that for a fine amount of time. So I'll put a timer, 3 rounds, 2 minutes, and I'm doing it. And I bite the bullet and I do it. That keeps me healthy. But I don't go in practice to just do that. That I never do. It's always after my workout, after I do jiu-jitsu.
So you never have a day where you say, today I'm going to do Olympic lifting?
No, I don't think Muhammad Ali ever did that. Muhammad Ali never, he boxed and then he did his conditioning. Mayweather does his conditioning, then he boxes. It always came together. Why? When I go to the gym, I'm going to go to have fun. I'm going to go wrestle. I'm going to go box. I'm going to have a blast. Then I'm going to grab the kettlebell. I'm going to do a few presses. I'm going to do a few Turkish get-ups, and I'm done. Because I need to have some general fitness. You have general fitness, then you have specific fitness. Specific fitness is to get better at my sport. General fitness is to keep me healthy, strong, and allow me to reach new levels of athleticism that later, in the long term, can translate to my sport later. But if you just do your sport, in my opinion, your system's going to break down. Your back's going to break down. Your knee's going to break down. Your shoulder's going to break down. You need to stimulate certain muscles that are not getting stimulation in your specific sport. You create atrophy in certain muscles because you're not using them really.
Right.
I need to work my stabilizers. I need to swing the kettlebell. I need to squat. I need to do certain exercises.
Like, what are the standard cores? Kettlebells, is that like
triple
your main...
extension is number one, so any type of squatting maneuver.
רגע, לפני שהוא רץ על כל המידע הזה, חשוב לי לציין שהוא נגע בנקודה, שלמי שעושה ספורט לחימה, הוא אמר, רוב הגדולים, כל אחד עם הגישה שלו, אבל הוא אמר, הם עשו את זה כתוסף. הוא אומר על זה שהוא בא לאימונים שלו, ליהנות. ואחרי זה הוא עושה קצת כושר לא ספציפי, כללי, מה שעוזר לו לשמור על בריאות ולהיות חזק. בנוסף לזה, כל הלחימה, כל התפיסות, כל ההיאבקות, זה מה שנותן לו כושר ספציפי ויכולות הספורטיביות שלו, לא, בתור בן אדם. אחרי זה הוא אומר, התרגולים שהוא עושה אחר כך, אם בול עכשיו מדבר על זה עם קטלבל, עם דברים, הוא דואג לשרירים בגוף שהוא לא מצליח לדאוג להם בעזרת הקיקבוקס ובעזרת הזה. הוא מחזק אותם. חבר'ה, תודה רבה שצפיתם בסרטון, היה לי מאוד מעניין. למטה יהיה לינק של הסרטון המלא, אתם מוזמנים ללכת לראות אותו, מעניין מאוד, בכללי תראו את כל מה שפירס זהבי אומר, איש גאון. כאן הלינק שלי לכל מי שרוצה לשלוח לי הודעה, שאלה או משהו, תודה רבה, נתראה סרטון הבא, להתראות.